Hello, my name is Arinda Said, a student at Nurses Revision Uganda. Today we have a special team with us, the Elites Forum. Let me give her the honors of introducing herself. Hello.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. Arinda. My name is Agnes Kangume. I am one of the directors of Elite Nurses Forum, and I am a registered nurse, Ugandan registered nurse, as well as a United States registered nurse. I'm working with other colleagues. We are a team of 5 registered nurses, and we are privileged to talk to you.
First, can you talk about Elite Nurses Forum and how you help the nurses be able to get the jobs abroad or be able to travel abroad? Can you give us a slight overview?
Briefly, I'll tell you that Elite Nurses Forum is a team of Ugandan registered nurses and as well as US RNs. These are the nurses who came up on board to spread the gospel of how the nurses in Uganda can also benefit from getting job opportunities outside the country. We thought that it will help our fellow colleagues as nurses who are facing the challenge of underemployment or even underpayment within the country to take up the opportunity. We ourselves got this opportunity and we got the chance of getting the US nursing license, and most of us are actually in the migration process.
Oh my God! Wow!
So we thought it would be very important to spread this good news to our colleagues so that we are able to contribute to the nursing profession and as well as helping to reduce the unemployment problem within the profession. So we actually prepare nurses for nursing jobs specifically for US, and this license of USA can help the nurse as well to get a job in other countries like Canada and Australia, or even in the UK, because it's a very strong license. And once you get this license, the whole world trusts that you are skilled, you are competent, and you are a safe nurse. So to get the license, that is where the biggest challenge is. The nurse has to first undergo through a training, because you have to first sit for an exam, and you must pass the exam for you to qualify to get that license.
Why are you running?
That exam is what we call the NCLEX-RN exam. It's called NCLEX-RN because it is for registered nurses. So the nurse has to first do this exam to get that US license, and they have to first of all pass it. That is where our main focus is, and we prepare nurses to ensure that they're able to pass that exam on first attempt.
Sorry to cut you short. Do you mind telling our nurses what NCLEX is in full?
So NCLEX in full is National Licensure Examination for Registered Nurses, NCLEX-RN.
Nice.
Oh,
yes.
Thank you so much. So let's break down the qualifications that an Ugandan nurse or Ugandan midwife needs in order to be able to work in the US or in Canada.
Thank you so much for that question. Actually, we've been getting that question from so many nurses. A nurse has to be having a minimum qualification of a diploma. We are actually dealing with nurses who are diploma level, degree and above. Even those who have masters and they would love to work in the US, they can take up this opportunity. Unfortunately, we have not yet gotten the opportunities for certificate nurses and for the midwives. But once we also get an opportunity for them, we shall be able to communicate and also extend this privilege to them.
Hi.
Okay.
The other big question that we've been getting from the nurses and midwives, because just like we know, there's nothing free. So they would like to know how much would the entire process cost, or how much would someone need to invest in this whole process of traveling and, doing the examination and all sorts.
Yeah, boy.
This process is not a one-day process. Be sincere to the nurses. You have to first undergo through a series of steps for you to sit that exam. The fact that it's an international exam, you have to be known in the system of USA to sit for this exam. So as we are preparing nurses to do this exam, there are other processes they do. For example, you have to first send your documents to USA for verification. The system of US has to confirm that you are really trained nurse and you are licensed from your country. So for that case, there is a fee that comes attached to that for verification of your documents, because your documents have to be sent to USA. And actually the body that is responsible for doing that in the US is called CGFNS. So there is a fee of around $485 to verify your documents. Then from there, we also register you with one of the nursing councils of the US. For us as Elite Nurses Forum, we are actually dealing with Texas Board of Nursing. It's like when you say Uganda Nurses Council. So the other one is the Nursing Council of Texas.
Okay.
So the system also has to know you, and there is also a fee that comes with that. It's a fee of around $75. And however, that council asks you to do your security background check, that you don't have any criminal record as a nurse, or you have not committed any crime within the profession. So there's also a fee attached to that of around $40. So the nurse is able to meet those costs. But we as Elite Nurses Forum, we are there to guide you on how best you can go about that. Then from there also, you also register with the examination body of the US. It's called Pearson View. So here in Uganda, we can call it UNIMEB, but that is called the Pearson View. So for you to sit for UNIMEB here, the system has to be knowing you that there is a nurse who is going to sit for this exam. So in a similar way, Pearson View has to be knowing you. So there is a fee that comes with that, which is also paid direct to Pearson View of around $200, and also the examination fee of around $250. So basically, that's the money that the nurse will pay to ensure that the system reads them very well and they are able to sit for the exam. So the other fees that come with that, it is when you have to travel to go and sit for the exam. Because here in Uganda, we don't have an examination center. We have 2 examination centers in Africa. One is in Nairobi, Kenya. The other one is in Johannesburg, South Africa. So the nurse will choose where they will love to go for their examination. So for us, we shall help the nurse to schedule for that exam from any of the examination centers of their choice, and the nurse will need to travel there and sit for the exam. So basically, that's the amount. I can estimate it to around 6 to 7 million Ugandan shillings for a nurse to fully pass that exam.
Sorry to take you back to NCLEX. You've said it is an exam that one is supposed to sit, but obviously, just like any other exam, there are requirements that are needed.
Basically, what I have just explained previously is the steps that you go through. But for us as Elite nurses, we guide the nurse on how to go through those steps.
Okay.
With those fees that I have told you. The other fees that you pay, maybe someone can ask, what are your service fees? Yeah, we do this at a service fee of $160. That is 640 Ugandan shillings for a full course, which takes a nurse up to 6 months. So some nurses have been asking, how long do I need to study? It is actually 6 months. It can even go beyond that, depending on how the nurse handles it. Some people are slow-paced, others are fast-paced, but there is a lot of content that is supposed to be covered in that short time period. So the nurse has to be very committed to finish the course in the 6 months. But however, for us as Elite nurses, we don't restrict the nurse so much, because we know we are dealing with working-class people. So when you pay for your full course, we make sure we guide you up to the last point you sit for the exam. Yes.
My God!
One of the other questions that we have, what assurance is there that after doing this course, after going through all these steps, after investing all this money, the job market out there in the US, that we're going to be employed when we finish this course and we go out there?
Thank you so much. To take you back, when a nurse passes the exam, this exam we have called the NCLEX-RN exam, be rest assured that the job is there, because US is in need of so many nurses, so many registered nurses. Actually, if you go to the internet to search, you realize that there are so many job opportunities in the US. And even there are so many recruitment companies that are on board taking up nurses. So the only challenge that we have is nurses don't know how best to reach there. So for us, we can assure you that the moment you pass your exam, there are so many recruitment companies that are ready to take you up to the US. Even if you really don't want to go with our own companies, because we are working in partnership with other recruitment companies, actually, which are looking for the nurses. They're the ones who inspired to go on board to really start doing this work. So even if you're not really interested in moving with us, you can still go on the internet and search for any recruitment company that can take you to the US. But the good thing with this is the moment you have passed, you are able to get a job, you are able to travel to the US, and there are very good payments for RNs there. Because the US has a minimum wage for every profession. So for registered nurses, the state that pays very little to the registered nurse pays $32 per hour. So that is a good pay, and that is for a state that pays very little. But there are states which can even pay up to 40, even to 50, depending on the cost of living. So what I can tell our dear nurses, please don't leave this opportunity. Our colleagues from other countries have already taken up these chances. We are the only ones who are still lagging behind. We are crying of poor pay around. We are crying of unemployment. But this is really a life-changing opportunity for a nurse, for you a nurse, for even your career growth, for your family, for your children, because you're able to move on a permanent visa, and you're even able to move with your family if you want. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So for a Ugandan nurse or Ugandan midwife who is unable to, pay all those costs, are there any scholarships, loans, or any organizations that, can help sponsor this whole process?
Wait for it.
The companies that we are partnering with, some of them are willing to give scholarships to the nurses. But a nurse, you have to be ready to compete for this scholarship, because there is no one who can invest money in you when you're actually not serious. So for a nurse who is serious, who is experienced, there are chances of getting scholarships from these partners of ours. Although the scholarships are limited, they are mostly considering prioritizing degree nurses.
I don't want to go to school again. That is it.
Even for some diploma nurses with good experience, they can compete, but you have to show interest, you have to show commitment for someone to really put trust in you. What I forgot to tell you is with this exam, some nurses fail. If you're not serious, you don't pass. And when you don't pass, it means you are not going to get a license and you'll not get a job. Or you'll have to retake. So most of the employers or the companies that give scholarships, they will gauge your commitment towards the course. So for us as Elite Nurses Forum, for someone who comes on board and they say they want a scholarship, we first screen you. We screen you and see your capability of passing the exam, and your commitment and your knowledge and skills and experience. That's when we can recommend you. So for those who love scholarships, you can reach us, but we have to screen you first to confirm that you are really not going to embarrass us in any way. Because we are the ones who are going to recommend you that this nurse is good and can really qualify for the scholarship. But for those who can afford the self-sponsorship route, we are still there to guide you. You become a hot cake when you have passed. No one will want to know how serious you were or what you went through, but they want you to see that you passed. That is what they consider most. You have the license, everyone will be yearning for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, let's talk about job placement and contract.
The fact that most of us cannot afford to take ourselves, because the self-sponsorship route of immigration is a little complex and expensive, all of us move with the recruitment companies. So the company, when the company takes you, they invest a lot of money in you during the immigration process. So there is some little fee they will be getting from your salary. But there is no one who will give you any money below the minimum wage. That's a good thing. But the contract will be usually 3 years. Most companies, you'll work with them for 3 years. After 3 years, they will let you go. They will let you go, and you're able to go and have your own personal negotiations with employers at any hospital of your choice when you're even already used to the US environment. So you can go and get any job of your choice and you make your own personal negotiations with the employer. But you leave Africa, you leave Uganda when you already know how much you're going to earn.
I'm rich.
They will give you a contract from here, you'll sign it, and the contract will be for 3 years. After 3 years, you'll be able to get another job with its own contracts. But the good thing, the recruitment companies are many. So if you are not content with what recruitment company X gives you, you can still go with you can still do an interview with another recruitment company. So some of these companies, they will even give you a chance to review the contract. If you are not contented with it, you leave it. And they can place you anywhere else.
So it is possible to terminate a contract, or if you're not in agreement with, the terms, it is possible to terminate and leave the agency?
When you get that contract, it has all the terms, all the clauses in the contract where you need to terminate and what you have to do.
Okay.
But the fact that this recruitment company has taken you, of course, you'll be bound to them until you finish the contract. But if you reach in the US and maybe you make a lot of money and you feel like you want to leave them, you'll pay them some money. They will even put it in the contract. They say, if you want to leave us before the contract expires, you're going to pay us this and this amount of money. So some nurses reach there within 1 year, they have already made that money. For example, the agency that I'm with, it says when you are to leave them, you pay them 25,000 US dollars. So some nurses who have gone, they have already paid off those people and they are able to go and make their own, they are able to get their own jobs, which are even paying better than what the company gives you.
Okay.
Yes.
Are there any additional health benefits, for example, health insurance or housing, accommodation?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
All these things will be stipulated in your contract. You'll go when you're aware how you're going to survive. Most of the companies, they will even give you accommodation for the first 1 to 2 months. Actually, they even some hospitals even give a sign-on bonus because they know a worker has to be having some money to start with. So they give you some money to catch up with the new environment. And this company is also responsible for orienting youth in the new environment of the US. So that's why you have to stay with them for the first 2 months, 1 to 2 months, depends on the company. They'll be with you, orient you in the new environment, even in the hospital settings. And actually most of them even, they will start doing they call them pre-exposure classes. When you're even still here, they start teaching you on how life is going to be, how you're going to catch up with the new environment, or what you're going to go through, things of that sort. But when you reach there, still they'll be with you. They will help you to get a house. They help you to get means of transport, like a car. When you fall sick, what you have to do, things of that sort. Everything will be stipulated in your contract. You go when you are aware.
Thank you so much for answering that question brilliantly. I would also like to know how you as Allied Nurses Forum help the nurses sit for the exams, how you conduct the classes?
We conduct classes online, and we're dealing with nurses from across Africa. We have nurses from Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon, and other areas. We are actually using a learning management system whereby a nurse is able to access all the work. You know, nurses can be working night, others working days, so sometimes to gather them for a class is very complex. However, we also have those online classes where we come on board live. We give more clarification of the work to the nurses. So for us, we're able to control it and monitor how the nurse is performing and how they are progressing. We're not performing well, we contact you and ask you where the problem is. Yes, however, every week we have lessons. They can be 3 to 4 sessions, live sessions where we interact live with the nurses. Yes.
What type of visa is normally issued for these nurses? What's the process like of, you know, if they wanted to relocate with the family, if they wanted to go with a child?
Our recruitment companies that we're working with are taking nurses on 2 types of visas. There is what we call the EB3 visa. That's a permanent visa, and it's what most of the nurses are going with. It's a permanent visa, and it gives you the opportunity to travel with your family. They believe that you are psychologically fine when you have your family with you.
You serious?
Yeah.
Yes. So most of the employers will take you on that visa. The only challenge with it is it takes time. So the nurse needs to be very patient. After passing your NCLEX, you'll wait for this visa for 1.5 to 2 years. Yes, it's not always readily available because they know you're not going to move alone. Someone can be having a family of 5 people, 6, and you're going to move with all these people. So they always restrict them, they're always less. But it's a permanent visa. You'll go to the US with your family, your spouse will be able to work as well. Your children are able to access education. You're able to access government loans like any other US citizen. The only thing you don't do is voting. Yes. Then the other type of visa is the HB1 visa. This is for people who will want to travel very fast. I have passed my NCLEX, I've gotten my license, I want to travel very fast. But it only favors people who are highly qualified. You must be having degree and above. So for the diploma nurses, it will not work for you. You'll have to wait for the EB3 visa. But the degree nurses who will love to travel very fast, they can move with this visa. However, it also has some limitations. That's why some degree nurses still drop it and they don't go with it. Because if you move with your family, your spouse will not work. And it also has some limitations on the children. So unless you're willing to leave your family behind. And another thing is you'll be bound to one employer. The employer that takes you, you'll have to be loyal to that contract up to the 3 years it ends.
Till it ends.
Yes. So that's the challenge with it. But for the people who are single, they can move with the HB1 visa because they are actually alone. You can go and work as you process your permanent visa from there. So that is the HB1 visa. But for people who are married and they want to move with their families, I always advise them to wait for the EB3 visa because it will enable you to move with your family, and again your spouse will be able to work and your children are able to access education.
How do you gather feedback to know that they are safe, they are in, good hands?
Yeah, most of the nurses who have traveled, they are doing well. And if you can go on YouTube, you'll find some of the nurses, but most of them are doing well there. They're able to get money. Overtime is paid special. They're able even to get other jobs if you have the energy of working. Here in Uganda, you can work. You get a job, they tell you to work 20 days a week. And your salary is just constant like that. Your hours of working, the hours you work will determine your salary. However much your contract will be stipulated that you'll be working maybe 3 days a week, that is for a 12-hour shift. 4 days a week, that is for an 8-hour shift. But anything you do beyond that, that is your own pay, which you go with at home. Yes. So the nurses in the US are doing well. It's not like for people who are going to Arab countries or any other countries where their security is really not, you're not sure of their security. But in the US, there are laws and they're really working. And when you have gone legally, there is nothing to worry about your security there.
What's the most rewarding part of you helping nurses achieve their dreams of working in the USA?
I don't know how I can even term that, but me, I feel a lot of pride. It's a lot of pride. I really feel like when I meet someone and someone is like, she helped me. You know, before we started this project, we were having one-on-one nurses. People who could say, Agnes, help me here. How did you do it? How did you go through this? Until we realized that we need to spread it further so that we make it for everyone. So when I meet people who passed and they went through my hands, I feel a lot of pride. And I feel like I am contributing to my profession. Yeah, that is what really makes me happy. And I love, like, in years to come, when someone's like, I achieved this dream through Elite Nurses Forum, and Agnes was there, Lillian was there, Alex, and others. Of course, we want even to leave others in it. Yes, we want to leave others in it so that even when we move, if we are unable to have time maybe to push it, you know, some people can move and maybe they reach there and they get so excited. And so we want to leave it moving with other people joining our team and making it bigger.
Okay.
Yes.
So how can someone contact Elite Forum?
You can contact us via our website, elitenursesforum.com. Even our contacts are there. The email is there. The moment you register on our email, we are able to access your registration.
Okay, thank you so much.
Even personally, my number is 0751 93 5208. That is WhatsApp. You can WhatsApp me at any time and I'll be able to respond to you.
Okay, thank you so much. We're going to indicate all this information in the description box. So thank you so much for watching. This is Nurses Revision Uganda. Bye.
Thank you.